finish Arati?
Yes.
This one is on, right? Yesterday we had 6 minutes of song. Only my dance without. Without.
I was watching it online. So
Oh, see. You could make out without words. You could recognize the Brahman. All right. Okay. We are here. That's all counts. Let's do 3 Oms and Sahanavatu. Sahana
Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai
Tejasvinavadhi
Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Hari Sri Guru
Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam
Kamsachanura
Ramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So, Ashtavakra is answering the questions of Janaka. The 3 questions are posed. One is, how do I get liberated? How do I get the knowledge? And also, how to do Tyagam or Sannyasam. So, in response to that, Akshavasta is giving the highest philosophy, and then we did up to Sloka 10. So we'll just chant the Sloka 10. Yatra Vishwamidam Bhati Kalpitam Rajju Sarpavat Kalpitam Rajju Sarpavat Ananda Paramanandaha Sabodhatvam Sukham Chara. So here is telling it what everything else is mithya, kalpitam, rajju sarpavatu, just like the snake, rope snake. Rope snake means where I don't see the rope as a rope because of it's not completely dark or it's completely light. It's very little light is there. And in that light I could sense some aspects of it, some attributes of the object. So there is aspect is there. There is a rope or a snake. There is a vastu. That means there is an object is there. And the attributes that I get are not sufficient enough for me to distinguish whether it's a rope or a snake. I know it's 5 feet long, so it doesn't suddenly become a 10 feet snake. It's only 5 feet snake only. So 5 feet long, and when I step on it, it's soft. So some of those attributes are somewhat common for both a rope and a snake, and from that most of the knowledge is only attributive knowledge because we don't have substantial knowledge. So from the attributes we gather, a thought is formed. Senses only gather the attributes, and from that a thought is formed, and from the thought we have to recognize what the object is. So every thought has a locus of the object, and the thought content is attributes of the object, and the attributes depends upon how my senses bring the information, and senses bring the information depending upon all other factors such as light and everything else has to be conducive enough for senses to gather as much to the capacity of the senses. So sense capacity should be there, all the other external ingredients should be there for me to know what it is there. So when I say this is, as we have a yesterday's class, so there is an object that I know. So there is aspect is same, and from the attributive content I say based on that from my memory, hey, this is like a snake. So therefore there is a snake. So when I discover that it is a rope by proper means of knowledge or pramana, so I need a better pramana. Pramana means a means of knowledge to discover what is there, to discover the truth, and that pramana should reveal me more than what it was done before. So the so-called prama means knowledge, becomes a brahma. Brahma means it's falsified once I know what is there through better pramana. So better pramana negates the previous pramanas as that was a false knowledge. If I don't have any better pramana, then I take the Brahma itself as a Brahma. So now you know what is Brahma. Brahma is false knowledge. Brahma means right knowledge. So I take the Brahma itself as a Brahma, as a right knowledge, and transact with the world as though that is the real knowledge. So for me, there is only snake there, and I will warn everybody not to go in that direction because there is a snake lying down there. Only when I get additional information by a dependable guy that it is not a snake but it is a rope, then only inquiry will start. If somebody else says, hey, that's not a snake, I won't believe him. So I need a dependable guy who can tell me that it is not a snake but a rope. So if it is not snake, I need to investigate. I may have trust in him, but at the same time I want to make sure because I want to be safe if I have to walk on that road. So I take a torchlight which can reveal the knowledge of the object better. So because now I have better light and I can see all other attributes that I missed before. And from that I can gather it is a rope, not a snake. So all those ingredients are involved. What are the ingredients? I need a better pramana, and I need a dependable guy to tell me, for me to get a doubt to go and inquire. To inquire in itself, I need a doubt that what I know is not really real. And then I had to do the inquiry itself to gain the knowledge. All those three things are involved. Then I know it is not really a sarpam, but it is rajjuhu. Rajju means it's only a snake. So what happened to the snake? So snake is only kalpitam. Kalpitam means it's only imaginary projection of my mind on that. So this is the Jiva Srushti because I projected. So Jiva Srushti get eliminated when I get the knowledge. So when I see the rope as a rope, then I don't see anymore as a snake. So what happened to the snake? Snake came from where it came. It came in from my mind, so it disappeared. If it really goes somewhere else, then it's a real snake. Real snake, not the false snake. So this snake only my mental projection, therefore it went back into my mind. So this example is a Jiva Srushti, but at the same time, the idea is when I don't know the fact, That's one aspect. That is, avidya is one aspect of it, because I don't know it's a rope. I don't know it's a rope. Then there is the projection of vikshepa. One is avidya. Avidya will help me to project something else, but avidya doesn't do by itself. Avidya is inert. So you have to be careful. Avidya projects. Avidya doesn't project anything. Ignorance is just ignorance. But avidya janita, once I have, the mind doesn't know, mind activated by the consciousness is projecting now. Because I am seeing the vastu. I am seeing an object is there. If I don't see any object, then I have no problem. I just walk. Neither rope nor snake. If I completely see, then I have no problem. I know it is a snake, it's a rope, then I have no problem. Only half knowledge is a problem. So half knowledge helps me to project something what is not there on top of what is there, as though on top. Not that there is a snake on top of a rope. So that's called, rope is adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means supporting the snake. But if you ask, why are you supporting a snake? I say, what do you mean? What are you talking about? There is no snake here. I am only rope. So from the point of rope, there is no snake. Only from my point, there is a snake. There is a snake. But from my point, the snake is not in my mind. It is there. I am projecting spatial also on top of where the rope is, where the snake is. Even though it is my mental projection called pratibhasikam. Pratibhasikam means my mental projections. That's like a dream. It can have other effects that are related to vyavaharikam. How? Because I have blood pressure, I didn't take the blood pressure medication, and my heart is beating, all the fear, sweating, all those things are, even though snake is only in my mind, but the physical factors are now obvious. I need all other factors that come in, which are not related to my mental projection, but they are physical now. All these things are important in analysis now. So kalpitam, even though it is an imaginary projection, but its effect can be a lot more deeper, just as the breathing and the heartbreak and all those things can be there. So that is pratibhasika satyam. The jiva srishti can have a lot of problems. Even though I am creating attachments are jiva srishti. Because this is mine, that is mine, and all that is my own projection. But it can have ramifications in terms of my emotional and also my physical problems also. So my emotional can cause physical problems also at the physical level. Psychosomatic diseases are there. So all that is possible because of projecting something more than what it is there. And now here yatra vishwam idam bhati. So here now this vishwam, the world, is projected on top of what is there. So what is adhishtanam? Adhishtanam is nothing but Satchidanandam that was there before creation. Who says that? Who says that? The scripture says that. There is no other way of knowing it. So what is the pramana? What is the means of knowledge for me? Scripture alone is a pramana to know what was there before creation, and the same thing became many. So no one else can logically deduce it or perceptually deduce it. This is only scriptural pramana. Okay, it's called Shabda Pramana. And I think we discussed in some aspects, this is a scriptural Prabala Pramana. There are two types of Shabda Pramanas. Shabda Pramana is Laukik is also Shabda Pramana. When I turn the TV on, a reporter tells me what's happening in Afghanistan or somewhere. So I have a faith in the reporter that he is going to report and tell me what is happening there. So therefore, that I believe what he says is now I am getting knowledge because of this fellow dependable guy he is reporting. But this kind of reporting I can evaluate and then go, if I go to Afghanistan and find out whether this fellow is really true or not. So this pramana can be verified. The one that is telling, I am listening to the Laukika Shabda Pramana. Laukika Shabda Pramana can be verified by my Pratyaksha Pramana. Follow logic? So therefore, Which is more reliable? Pratyaksha pramana is more reliable. This is okay, as long as I cannot have time and all that, and it doesn't affect me, I can believe his statement and take it for granted. So therefore, it is a durbala pramana. Durbala pramana means it's a weak pramana. Whereas pratyaksha pramana is a prabala pramana. I can see, therefore it is there. That's called eyewitness account. Okay. But here, I see the world. So it's prabala pramana. I see the world and this is a chair, that is chair and all that. But just because I see is there does not necessarily mean that is the truth. So who says that? Who says this? Science has to tell me. I see sunrise and sunset, but science says the sun doesn't rise or set. Who says that? How come I am seeing sunrise and sunset? How can you prove that it is? Logically, I cannot prove, and pratyaksha pramana in fact disproves what science says, but I cannot go by pratyaksha pramana as the basis, because the science, which is shastram, is telling me that there is no sunrise and sunset, right? Now, who says that this is all Brahman and Sachidananda Swarupam? So, I cannot by perceptually, I cannot, because I don't see any Brahman around here, and Brahman is imperceptible. If I see Brahman, then Brahman cannot be Brahman also. So therefore, I cannot see Brahman. At the same time, this is a statement. So this statement cannot be proved. Unlike in the case of Afghanistan case, I can go and prove it, but I cannot prove, nor I can logically deduce. Naisha tarke namatira paneya. It cannot be deduced by logic also. And what is pramana? Shastram alone is pramana. So how am I going to know? So you should have a faith in this scripture statement. Shastrasya guru vakyasya satya buddhyavadarana. Shastram, and don't go and read Shastram by yourself, through the teacher, and what the teacher says about the Shastram is indeed right. Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satyam is what the pramana is. So that yatra vishvam idam bhati, so that which the whole universe is shining as though, where idam vishvam is kalpitam only, is only imaginary only. Why am I imagining? Because of ignorance is a problem. What's the ignorance? Ignorance of not knowing I am Brahman. So we told you, who is ignorant? The fellow who doesn't know I am Brahman, he is obviously ignorant. So this is a big discussion in the Vedanta also. Where is the locus of ignorance? So we should also understand this. Where is the locus of ignorance? First statement is, Brahman is the locus of ignorance. So how can Brahman be ignorance? Because there is anything other than Brahman. Brahman means infinite. If something other than Brahman to have a locus of ignorance, then Brahman cannot be Brahman. So anything has to be in Brahman only. Ignorance as well as knowledge also in Brahman only. So both aspects have to be in Brahman. So first answer is, Brahman is the locus. So Ramanuja criticized the whole thing. So how can Brahman itself is pure knowledge. And how can the pure knowledge will have ignorance, which is darkness? One is the light and the darkness. Those are two opposite things. So you cannot have it. So there is some problem with the Advaita Vidya. This is one of the famous criticism of Ramanuja in the Sri Bhashya. Sri Bhashya is a Sri Bhashya of the Brahma Sutras. Okay. Okay, anyway, I don't want to go into Visishtadvaita, even though I was brought up from there. So, the idea is, Brahman alone is avidya, but how can it be? It can be because Brahman even illumines the avidya also. How do you know ignorant? Yes, I know that I don't know. How do I know I don't know? Because I have a knowledge of ignorance also. So ignorance is also a vritti, and that can be removed by other vritti, which is opposite, which is knowledge. That is called Vedanta vritti. So by Vedanta Shravana alone, I can remove the ignorance of what is the nature of the truth. And Vedanta knowledge eliminate this avidya, and along with it, it also gets dissolved. That's why says just Katakarenu. So just like Katakarenu, you put Katakarenu to purify the water, and in the process Katakarenu and the dirt, everything goes down, leaving water free from both Katakarenu as well as the dirt. So here, Yatra Vishwam Idam Bhati, so where Idam Kalpitam Vishwam is Bhati is revealed, is known, is just as is only Kalpitam, is only imaginary. And by through Vedanta, understand that you are that Satchidananda Swarupam, Ananda Paramanandaha. Therefore, you are that Ananda and Paramananda, that is supreme happiness, both reflected happiness as well as supreme happiness. And Sabodha Tvam, that is the knowledge, that is the pure knowledge, and that is the wisdom. What is the knowledge he was asking? Asking is that because ignorance is covering. What is covering? Some aspects only covering. If everything is covered, there is no problem. Just like everything is dark, no problem. Only half knowledge is a problem. So I have half knowledge about the truth. What is half knowledge? I know I am existent, and I know I am a conscious entity. So scripture, I don't need scripture to tell me that you are an existent guy, right? Or you are a conscious guy. So because I am existent and conscious only, scriptures can teach me. So therefore, I already know 2/3 of the problem is already solved. What is 1/3 of the problem? Is Sat Chit Ananda. I do not know that I am Ananda Swarupam. Why? Because that's what I am looking for all the time, running after like a rat race. So I am Sat Chit, but I am a Jivaha. So Aham Jivosmi. Aham means I am, that means conscious existent that I am is Jivaha, Jivosmi. This is a snake. So this is part is the truth part. Snake part is only one we have to remove. When I get a proper knowledge, we say this is, instead of snake, we put rope there. So this is part is remaining. That's the truth part. That is Satyam. This is part is the existence part is emphasized as isness there. So existence is same, that there exists something. Existence in the form of object there, but because of the avarana, because of the ignorance is covering, and I don't know that it is an object, it is a rope, I am projecting a snake there. So Vikshepa is coming because of the ignorance. Vikshepa means projecting something which is not there. It's called Atasmin Tad Buddhihi. That's where is not there. I am projecting something which is somewhat similar. Similitude is there. Some similarity is there. I'm not projecting an elephant or something else. I'm projecting somewhat similar to what the rope is, right? And this is the same way, Vishwamidam, I am projecting something in the total Vishwam on top of the substratum, the Satchidananda. So what are the similarities? There has to be some similarity, otherwise there is no problem, right? We cannot exist. Vishwam exists. Existence in the form of Vishwam is there, because I am saying, if I am saying, how can I see the world? I can see a chair. Chair exists. So there is a chair, there is a table, there is something, there is there all the time. If there is no, then I cannot say there is. So existence is there expressing in every form. So Brahman is there. But Brahman is there in what form? Right now in the chair form, in the table form, because he already became many. So now I cannot look for Brahman. Even if I look for Brahman, I cannot find it. I can only see chair, table and all that. So now in and through the chair and table, I should have the knowledge that this is Brahman. How? By attending the Ashtavakra Gita class. So why? Because it says, scripture says, this is nothing but Brahman itself in various forms. That is called the Kalpitam. It's only the chair form and a table form and all these names form means Sabda, Sparsa, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, all those attributes of any object. Object only because we have only 5 senses. Through 5 senses only I can live the world. If I don't, my 5 senses are not functioning, then I don't know the world, right? Through 5 senses only because they gather the attributes of 5 different varieties of attributes. As you become subtler and subtler in the knowledge, you start distinguishing in colors also. So in the red color, you may have varieties of red colors. So, a husband goes and buys some red color, we'll buy some red color. No, not that red color, this is different color. Everything looks red. So, the subtle differences, because they are able to distinguish the subtle differences between the varieties of red colors. For that, you have to be sophisticated to distinguish more. In the same way, 5 senses, everything is sweet, including sugar. But laddu is laddu and jalebi is jalebi and all other subtle differences are, that's why only there is a coffee, milk and sugar. But every coffee is different. And Madras coffee is the best, obviously. So all these distinctions come into picture when you become more and more sophisticated in your sense input. Okay, but only there are 5 only. At a grosser scale. So here I am looking for Anandam. That's why when I realize that this is a truth, I know I am existent conscious entity, that I am looking for Ananda. When I say I am that Ananda Swarupam, then there is no more desire to get Ananda from outside. Therefore, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan. There is no more desire to get anything. I am atmanyeva atmanatushta. I am reveling in myself because I am the very source of happiness itself. So why should I go after looking for something? Even when I am getting outside happiness also, I am getting from me only. It's only roundabout I am doing. So I am getting the object, happiness, I am tapping my own happiness through a roundabout way. That is the problem. So, Ananda Paramanandaha, Ananda Paramanandaha. See, that is supreme happiness. Paramananda means nothing beyond that. And limitless alone is Anandam. Any other things is not Anandam. You may think that there is happiness here, happiness there, happiness is there. Only limitless alone is complete happiness. And that's why there is a scale of happiness in the Taittiriya Upanishad. The one who owns the whole universe is young fellow, not old fellow. Young fellow because he has to digest the food also. Old man, he has a lot of money but can't eat anything. What good is that? So he is able to eat everything and digest everything and enjoy everything. And for him the happiness of the whole universe he owns, and for him the happiness is one unit. And the next level of it is 100 times more, Gandharvasa and all the way up to, if you go to the highest level, it is 10 to the power of 26 times Ananda. 10 to the power of 20 means time you have to put. Anyway, that Ananda is in the scales, but I don't know if you remember in the Taittiriya Upanishad that every Ananda, there is also a statement. Sotriyasya kamayatasya. Same Ananda one can gain by one who has listened to scriptures, Sotriyaha, and one who has no more desire for the objects because he understood that happiness is coming from him. He gets the same happiness as you go on after looking for all other happiness also. So that Sotriyasya kamayasya is repeated for the every level also. So that is the Ananda Paramanandaha. Ayam Atma Paranandaha Parama Premaspadam Yataha Manabhuham Hi Bhuyasam Iti Prematma Nisyate. You know where it is? It's a Panchadasi, first chapter, it says Ayam Atma Paranandaha Parama Premaspadam Yataha. I love myself most. That's what he said. The statement is taking in, I love myself. So, no, I love my wife more, or my husband, wife, and says, no. Atmanastu kamayatasya. So, you love anything only because of for your sake, not for their sake. Because as long as they bring happiness to you, you love that object. What you love is a source of happiness. I don't like this because that doesn't give me happiness. I love this because it gives me happiness. So, any source of happiness is what I love. So everything we say, you have list of what you love and what you don't love. All those things what you love is the ones are your source of happiness. As long as they are bringing happiness to you, you love them. If I start being a pain, they become a pain in the they are. I don't want to say they. If it becomes a pain in the neck, then you put in the other list as quickly as possible. So that's what is the problem. So Atmanastu, say, for my sake only everything is. And therefore, what is that? I love myself because I am the source of, for everything else, I love because. There is a because. Because it brings me happiness, I am happy with that, without that I am not happy, all those things. But I love myself because what? There is no because, I love myself, period. Because there is no cause for it, because I am the spontaneous source of happiness itself, and that is Ananda Swarupam. That is my Swarupa Lakshanam, my nature itself. That is Paramanandaha. Sa Bodaha Tvam, Tvam Saha Bodaha. So you are that, Tvam is, you are that Bodaha, that pure consciousness itself. So what was there before? Consciousness alone was there. Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness alone was there before. But I say all unconscious things in the world, therefore they are not real. Kalpitam. So it's only projection of something. So from consciousness, unconscious things can be projected. It's a strange, because whatever there's consciousness can only project conscious things. Consciousness, unconscious things are projected. It's possible, and that's why scripture tells you, Yada, I forgot. Just as the spider put forth the net. Yeah. So there are three examples that in the Yada Urdhvam. So but the best example is the dream itself, where when I go to sleep, I project both chara, achara, both movable and immovable, both inert things as well as the living things. I am projecting both. Even though I am a conscious entity, I can project the whole thing too. So that is called kalpitam. So Vishwam idam bhati, that means it's being illumined. But it is illumined only because Tvam bodaha, you are of the nature of consciousness. So anything that is being illumined because of consciousness alone, tasya bhasa sarvedam vibhati. Because of that shining only, everything else is seen, including the light that is shining, because of which I am seeing all the objects. Even the light is also being lighted by the consciousness. Because if I am blind man, however much light you put, I won't know. My eyes should be functioning, my mind should be functioning, my consciousness should be illumining, and therefore it is Jyotir Jyoti. It is even lights the lights also. And Swayam Jyoti, it shines by itself, and I don't need a light to light it, right? So it is Swayam Jyoti, Saha Bodaha Tvam, and knowing that Sukham Chara. So move about knowing that you are the source of happiness itself. This is where we stop. I didn't go through the last part. I just put Sada on that and then went. Okay, let's do Sloka 11. Muktabhimani mukto hi Baddho baddhavimanyapi Kim badantiha satyeyam Yamati sagatir bhaved. So Yamati sagatir bhaved. This is a famous statement from the scripture here. So Yamatihi sagatihi. Bhaved means that happens. Yamati means whatever you think you become. That's what essentially. So as one thinks, he becomes that. Provided he works for it. If I want to become a great millionaire and sit down and do nothing about it, nothing will happen. So I had to think means I had to plan it, and intellectually I had to think, and through the intellect, so what I think, I had to follow what I think. So action with thinking. Action without thinking. Action with thinking has to be followed. So here, if I had to gain something, so I had to do action. But it's nothing to do of the gaining thing. If I am already that, then if I know that it is, it means if I intellectually understand correctly that it is indeed a fact, then I recognize that as a fact. Otherwise I can say, hey, you are Brahman. Yes, I know I am Brahman. Then why is he having a castor oil face? If you are a Brahman, then you are infinite, you are Ananda Swarupam. Yeah, I know I am Brahman. So someone went to Swamiji and asked, I've been attending your Vedanta classes for the past 20 years and I know I am Brahman. I am convinced. But how come I am still suffering? So, how can Brahman suffer? That means, that's why the J. Krishnamurti says, it's not an understanding as a thought, but it's an understanding as a fact. So even though we understand the Vedanta thoroughly, convinced, as soon as the class is over, we are back to the routine. What happened? At least there's a famous story. When a sage was going around, there was one beggar and he was suffering a lot. And going, and some days he gets the food, some days he doesn't get food, and he was over. So as the sage was, suddenly he saw this beggar. Then he looked at him and thought about him. He says, hey, you are actually a billionaire. You are inherited the lot of wealth because some of your ancestors have gone to foreign land and earned so much of money, and they have it in Swiss bank accounts, and you can claim that is you are owner of that. And then he left. Now what's the problem? Now this fellow has a bigger problem. He knows now he is a millionaire, but he still has to beg because he doesn't have money to go there and claim. Even to go there to claim, he needs some money. So now we know we are Aham Brahmasmi, we learned in the Vedanta class. Now we are more miserable because now knowing I am Brahman, we are suffering a lot. So this has become a double problem. So at least if we didn't know, there is no problem. Knowing it now, suffering is even a bigger problem, like the beggar guy. So where is the problem? I said, this is a knowledge. He says, once I know it is a rope and I saw it as a rope, then there is no more snake. But there is still snake there, which is causing a problem. Fear is there. So the problem here is that knowledge is not abiding, called Jnana Nishtha. Jnana Nishtha means not only I understand, but I understand as a fact, not as a thought, not in the mind. So how do I know whether I understand it as a fact or not? And when will I know? So scripture understands this problem. It says, Srotavya, Mantavya, Nididhyasitavya. You have to constantly, because there are still ragadveshas in your mind. You attended the Vedanta class before completely purifying your mind. You are not an Nachiketas, where if an Nachiketa didn't have to do anything once that is gone. But since none of us are Nachiketas, our still lingering vasanas there. That's what vasanas is. Lingering vasanas are there. If the vasanas are too strong, we won't even attend the Vedanta classes. But vasanas have nullified a lot enough for us to attend tentatively, even though it is a Sunday evening at 6:30 class. So that means there are clarity of the mind is there for me to sit and listen to. Vedanta Shravanam is there. Mananam is also there. I have no more doubts out of it. But still the lingering vasanas are there, and that's the reason why there is no Jnana Nishtha. So how will it go? That's why Swami Paramatma says it's called FIR reduction. FIR means you have to say Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagya. I have to constantly keep that as a brainwashing. You may say it's a brainwashing, but it's not a brainwashing because we are telling about the truth. Brainwashing is something not truth and telling yourself is that is true. That is brainwashing. It is you are having already wrong notions. We have to wipe out the wrong notions with the right notion. So I am a man, I am a man, I am not a rat, like Mr. Jones who thought that he is a rat. So I am a man has to be brainwashed because he is a man actually. Until how long? Until he is firmly abiding that I am a man. Even when he sees a cat, he doesn't have to run because he knows that he is a man. So that abiding knowledge has to be there. So even though when I transact in the world, I don't get carried away with ups and downs of the life, because I am Anandaha Paramanandaha. That's what in the last sloka says. That's why Sukhi Chara. With that knowledge, if I move around with that, in spite of whatever outside ups and downs, I am abiding the knowledge that I am Brahman. How can I be disturbed? Because there all becomes my vibhuti. Vibhuti means my glory only. Look at all my glory. I can be even like a stupid like this fellow, or I can be intelligent like the other fellow. I can be ignorant like other gentleman. I can be a billionaire like this fellow. All that becomes my glory only. It's not brainwashing, because I am Ananta Swarupa. Everything is only in me. So Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam, Sarva Bhutani Cham Atmani. One who sees himself in everything, Sarva Bhutastam Atmanam. One sees himself in everyone, and Sarva Bhutani Cha Atmani, in myself everything else, because I am Brahman, therefore I am infinite, so everything cannot be, anything cannot be me, away from me. They are in me, they rise in me, they are sustained by me. I can close my shop anytime. But it's a fun. So it becomes a Leela Vibhuti. So this clear understanding is what is required, and that takes prolonged length of time depending upon the vasanas, remnant vasanas. So how long? So what should I do? Keep on attending classes or keep on listening to scriptures. Somehow, somewhere, any opportunity, you have to keep listening, because keep mind reminding that I am that. Whether study, self-study, or teach, or do something, or do anything, wherever the mind has to revolve in the knowledge that I am, that I am, that I am. There is no other shortcuts here. And how long? Until that how long question itself is not there. And so what happens as you evolve? That's what he called FIR reduction. The frequency of disturbance goes down as you get abides in the knowledge. That is F. The intensity of disturbance goes down. That is I. And recovery time from disturbance. You don't take much time. Immediately you may though upset a little bit, but immediately says this is all mithya only. So recovery time also. So that FIR reduction will happen, but that is not a discrete event. It is a slow process depending upon how my vasanas are. So even though knowledge is there, Jnana Nishta is not there for all of us who are essentially, when we say, how come this knowledge is not expressing itself in the day-to-day transactions? So here, the Mukta Abhimani Muktohi. So, Yamatihi Sagatihi Bhavet. So, whatever I think I become, if I think that I am, because if that is the truth, and I think because supported by the scriptural study, therefore I can become that, because the what is the statement in the Upanishad? The Brahmavid, Brahmaiva Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. That's a statement of scripture itself. Says, how does it become? Knower of tumbler doesn't become tumbler. Whereas knower of Brahman becomes Brahman, because knower of Brahman means I am Brahman is the knowledge. Therefore he becomes a Brahman. And that is therefore Mukta Abhimani, one who wants to know this and make an effort to this, because once I have the mumukshutvam, Mukta Abhimani means mumukshutvam is there, tad vijnanartham sam gurum eva abhigache. The scripture says, if you are really desiring to know what is the truth, Then scripture tells you don't come and read scriptures directly. What should I do? So tad vijnanartham gurum eva. Eva means you have to approach a teacher alone. That through Shravanam. And Shravanam is the consistent, systematic study of scriptures for a prolonged length of time under a competent teacher. This is the definition of Swamiji, Swami Paramarthananda. As soon as I go to India, I listen to his talks and we discuss a lot with him. So, oh, you have come. That's what he will tell me first thing. He says. So that is Shravanam, and by a competent teacher. Who is a competent teacher? Competent teacher is the one who listens, consistent, systematic study of scriptures under his competent teacher. So this is what is a Guru Parampara is what is involved, and therefore, and that is called Shravanam. And Mananam means no more doubt, even when you encounter the Dvaitins or anybody else who can ask all sorts of questions, you have clear vision. He may not agree with you, doesn't matter, but you have clear vision. And even after that, Nididhyasanam, constant contemplation, is Tavyaha, means you have to do it. There is no shortcuts here. And therefore, Mukta Abhimani, Mukto hi, one who has the desire for it. So, Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprasnena Sevaya, the one who has the desire for it, you go to a teacher. That's what Krishna says also. So, once he is a Mukta Abhimani, then he becomes a Jignasu, and then he becomes a Jnani. That is Muktihi. Baddho Baddhabhimanyapi, the one who wants Abhimani of Baddha, who wants to get bounded. Nobody wants to get bounded. Right? So Baddho Baddhabhimani means what? Here the one who thinks that happiness is out there and going after things. So if you tell him Vedanta, he says he won't listen to you. Even you say you can announce anything and advertise everybody all over. Even Brahmaji had a problem. I told you Chandogya Upanishad, Brahmaji, they made a big announcement all over the 14 worlds, only 2 people registered for the course. One is Indraji and then Virochana. These are the 2. One is the king of the gods, another king of the Rakshasas. Both registered and they came. And after the first class, the fellow dropped, second fellow dropped out. He says, I understood. What? He says, Annam itself is Brahman. So whatever the body is, go and eat a lot more eating and maja. That's what is Brahman. He understood the first class. Because Taittiriya Upanishad tells you, Anna Kosham, Pranamaya Kosham, step by step. And he taught in 4 classes. Whereas the first class itself, this fellow dropped. He has only 1 student left. Of course, Brahmaji was not worried about it. So, Baddho Baddhabhimani. Baddhabhimani means the one who thinks that even though logically you can tell him that happiness is not out there, not only Baddha, we also, even though we know that happiness is not out there, we are still going after happiness for out things. That means what? We have not understood. We still think that in case there is happiness, I want to have it. So pleasures of sensuous pleasures we go after. So the scripture has to come and teach you that. That is when the scripture has to remind us that there is no really happiness. Why are you going? If it comes, is okay. If it doesn't come also, you should not be perturbed. That is a different thing. So Baddhabhimani. Abhimani here is only the one who is longing for sensuous pleasures. He is called Baddha. And who thinks that I am the body. So Deha Abhimani is going to tell that also. So he goes after that. Kim badanti hasatyam. This statement that ya matahi sagatahi, kim badanti. It is a famous statement even Ashtavakra time also. And that's what is being repeated. And that indeed is true, says Ashtavakra. So who is to be blamed if I am not realizing? Myself. Right? I am the bandhu, I am the enemy also. Krishna says, says aham, is because if I am going after trying to gain the knowledge, I don't know if she's coming there, is okay? Is okay? Everything?
Yeah.
Okay. But when you come, you have a signal, let's say there is something.
Yeah, because you said Purnamada, I thought 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yeah. Purnam will come, will wait for 8 o'clock. Purnam is a whole poli, right? You can make Purnam. I don't know why they call it Purnam, but anyway.
Coming nicely.
Poli, you know Poli, holy, or you call holy. Sweet. Sweet. Okay. So that Purnam is. So let's do the sloka 12. Atma Sakshi Vibhuh Purnaha
Atma Sakshi Vibhuh Purnaha
Eko Mukta Chedakriyaha
Ego Mukta Chidakriyaha
Asango Nispruha Santaha
Asango Nisruhasantaha
Brahma Samsaravaniva.
Brahma Samsaravaniva.
So what is my nature? He's emphasizing now the nature of the reality. Atma Sakshi Vibhuhu Purnaha Ekaha Muktaha Chidakriyaha. So Atma Sakshi, Atma is pure, the self that I am. Sakshi is a witnessing consciousness. So these are essentially reminding the knowledge that this is the nature of myself. Not Sakshi means some Atma is not Sakshi. I am the nature of the consciousness, witnessing consciousness. So what should I do? Witness. Because you don't do anything. Witness is not involved in the crime, right? Witness should be standing apart and look at these things that is being witnessed. So when I say Sakshi, so it's not just a statement for Ashtavakra to Gita, to Janaka, it's for us. So when I say Atma I am Sakshi, so I had to understand that not only understanding of the thought, but I had to put this in the practice. So how can I be? I had to stand apart and let the body, mind, intellect act. You think that's easy? Because when you try to stand apart and look at it, and you will either forget to act. So karmaya pasyet. In the chapter Gita says, one who sees himself as akarmani while the karma is going on. That is Sakshi. Right? That means I am not a doer, I am a Sakshi. Sakshi cannot be doing anything. Only I am witnessing the activities of the body, mind and intellect. So as a sadhana, try to be a witnessing consciousness when you are not deeply involved in the activity, where the mind is not deeply involved. So when you're going to take, that's why in all the sadhanas they ask you to go for a walk. In all camps, something. Chinmay and the Guruji said there is after meditation you are supposed to go for a walk. Not walk and then give chit chat, all that. Walk by yourself. So what should I do? Be a witness for your walking. I don't know, I keep telling you that whenever you are walking, if you observe your mind, try to observe your mind, you will find that your mind is either in the past or in the future. You experiment it, right? You will be thinking about something happened or something going to happen, one of the two. It will never be in the present. So how can you witness? When you are witnessing, you have to stop and looking at, and when you look at the mind and see, automatically the mind will become shy and comes back and be part of you. Now, who is an observer? You have to be very careful. Sakshi is a Sakshi witness, but even witnessing cannot do it by Sakshi also if you really inquire about it. It can only through the mind only. That's a problem here. Delicate problem. So a mind has to watch the mind itself, and part of the mind is doing the action. Without the mind, you cannot do anything even. Not only jnanam, nothing. So this is why it is very, very subtle aspects. So the Vedanta is, that's why we need a Sukshma Buddhi. Sukshma Buddhi is very subtle intellect. The other intellect is Tichna Buddhi, right? Sharp intellect. We don't want sharp intellect, only cuts. So a scientist is only dissects and says, this is this phylum, he groups and everything. This belongs to this belongs to all, categorizing and differentiation and distinguishing and all that. You need a sharp intellect for that. But you need an integrating mind, not a synthetic mind, but an integrating mind that unites and sees the oneness that pervades everything. That vision you need. And that is what is witnessing, and that mind is only prepared mind. And therefore, I had to witness the operations of so many things, the body, mind and intellect, where I have to stand apart. So when I was, first time I got exposed to J. Krishnamurti, this is what the problem was. What was the problem? He says, your mind is conditioned, and I read everything about what conditioning and all that, and say you think there is a God because you are brought up in that family, therefore you think you are conditioned. Other fellow is born in the Nastika family or communist family, and he doesn't think that there is no God because he has been brainwashed to think that there is no God. So everything is conditioning only. To say that there is a God is conditioning, to say there is no God is also conditioning. Everything is understood. Then what should I do? So uncondition your mind. Get all those things are rubbish. Get rid of. So no, don't attend any classes because then you will be reconditioning, according to him. Sir, then what should I do? I want to uncondition myself. Don't ask me. If I ask me, then I'll give a procedure for you, and then you will be conditioning with the procedure. So I might say, what do I do? This is a real problem. So you cannot ask J. Krishnamurti, what should I do in order to uncondition my mind? So just observe your mind. Be a Sakshi. Okay, what? This is very simple. I don't have to do anything. So I sat down and be Sakshi. What happened? Before I know, either I going to sleep or I gone along with whatever. Instead of being Sakshi, I went along with the culprits in the crime. This has become a real problem for me. I said, this is all nonsense. So I threw all the books out. So that was my evolution. J. Krishnamurti's. So Sakshi becomes only when I get detachment. I got to be detached for me to observe. So how do I get detached? That's why Karma Yoga, all those yogas are becoming important as a means to get detached. Okay? Therefore, there is a means. It's not a brainwashing, it's not a conditioning. You need to recondition so that the previous conditioning can be removed, and that's what you call, you need a thorn to remove, you need a needle to remove the thorn. In the process, you get the thorn and you don't put the needle also, you remove both of them. And therefore, you need to have, Vedanta says, we understand that it is beyond all that, but you need a procedure, and that's why you remember 4 miles of running is necessary to discover that 4 miles of running is not necessary. All the sadhanas are necessary until you discover this is all baloney. Because I am Nitya Mukta Suddha Mukta Swarupam. But that is also you're going to tell. But it is Atma Sakshi. So far as practice, we have to, at least in a few moments of our life, can I stand apart and look at myself? And that's what is Sakshi. The more I do, the more I'll be able to. So I am Sakshi. Vibhuhu. Vibhuhu means I am infinite, all-pervading. Purnaha, I am completely full. There is nothing that I am lacking. Therefore, I want this. Whenever I get, I want this, I need this, then I have a problem. Yeah, I am already full. Okay. In fact, Bhagavan Ramana says, Apurnam. Apurnam means overflowing Purnam. And I told you, whenever we used to just sit around Gurudev, Why? Because it's overflowing joy, because sitting around him, we also be getting joy, and he has to get his lot of work done. So he sits for some time and jokes around and all that, and everybody will be giggling and laughing and laughter all over. Because in those moments you don't think anything else, you are one with him. He enjoys along with it. And then he goes, he has to do a lot of other work. But nobody wants to get out of that place. So it is because he is complete Purnam itself. Ekaha. So it's all by itself because it is Purnam, therefore it is Ekaha. Muktaha is already liberated. Not that I am going to be liberated. I realize that I am already free because I am infinite. When it is infinite, there is no liberation or bondage also. Only finite things can be bound. And Chidakriyaha, Chit Akriyaha. So this, I am pure consciousness, and Akriya, because I am Sakshi. I can be standing apart without performing any action. Asangaha, no attachment to anything. Nispruhaha, Nispruha is that which is no desire for anything else. Shantaha, it is calm and quiet, peaceful by itself. Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chidurtam Anyante Sa Atma Sa Vigneyaha. This is the Mandukya mantra. And Brahmat, and due to the Brahma, samsara vaneva. So my up to third line, that is my true nature. Only because of Brahma. Brahma means false knowledge. Samsara vaneva. So samsaravan iva. Samsaravan is one who has possessing samsara. Not that samsara belongs to him. Unnecessarily he is trying to catch samsara. Samsara means transmigration of your soul all over. Samsara has a different meaning in different languages. Samsara means family. And if you go to Kerala, you say samsara means wife or something. Right? It's called samsara. So don't use samsara in a wrong place, in the wrong way. So samsaravan, like Bhagavan. Bhagavan means one who has bhaga. Samsaravan means one who has samsara. One Iva says Brahmat is essentially who is having a Brahma, misconceptions about yourself. So these are because of avidya, these are the two things that are covered. That was in the Panchadasi said. One is asangatvam, another is anandatvam. Everything else is byproduct of that. So therefore, my attachments, whenever I say get attachments, then I have a problem. Attachment, what is an attachment? Attachment is, definition of what is attachment? Attachment is depending on something other than myself for my happiness. That's attachment. If I depend on any person or anything for my happiness, then that's it. But you cannot live in the world without depending on somebody or something for anything else. Right now I have to depend on our friend to give me a ride. So there is dependent, right? But this is a transactional dependence. Because you are in the world, you cannot go and grow yourself vegetables and all that. You are dependent upon farmer has to make it, and somebody has to supply. All those things is dependence only. We have, first when I went to India first time, every 6 months I go to India and settle there. Right? So we had internet problem. So he said, what your connection and all that, it's a pain in the neck to give proper connections and all that. So we called one fellow who is an expert in these things, and we called. So say, hey, can you come and do it? And says, yeah, I'll come at 6 o'clock. And so Sadeh was okay, we're waiting for 6 o'clock. So 7 o'clock is over, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whole day is over, no, nothing. We'll again call him, say, no, I'm coming. God, that whole day is over, next day, what is this fellow? We cannot go anywhere because there's nobody else somebody has to open the door when he comes. And for him, he doesn't bother. He comes the next day at third day, 6 o'clock. He shows up for this. And he has no worry about anything at all and no concern and no say, hey, why did you come? Oh, no, I was busy with something else. Then why did you tell me at 6 o'clock? No, I thought I'll finish it. And he has no concern. But this is what India is in the sense, no problems in that. Fellow doesn't have any time concept and doesn't care for other people's time also. But once you understand, at that time it's all frustrating. This will it's at 6 o'clock, how long I can wait? So next time we know now what 6 o'clock means. It can be any 6 o'clock, which day is not clear. Now you have no problem. You have no expectation of anybody meeting your expectations. So these are all asangaha. That's why you become asangaha, unattached. So attachment is something depending on something else for your happiness. That's what. If it comes. If it doesn't come, also if it's okay, then you are not depending on it. You let others to depend on you, then they say, oh, love you, these people depend on all those things. They depend on you. That's what you call love. They can also, I'm attached to you and I love you and all those things. But you don't depend on them, you can still love them. But there, when you love without dependence, that is real love. Because you don't depend on it, still you love. You love means you are ready to do what needs to be done in order to solve a problem. Be compassionate, be helpful, taking care of what you need and all those things, what are the low things. But at the same time, if you have dependence, then you are the one who is having a problem. So somebody says, disappointments come. Swamiji's statement, disappointments come to those who make appointments. So if you make expectation of something, he's going to talk also all these things anyway. So Atma Sakshi Vibhu Purnaha Eko Muktaha Chidakriyaha Asangaha. So Asangaha and Ananda is covered by Avidya, and therefore I am looking for Sangam and I need that, I depend on this, I depend on that. And attachment is different from concern. Remember I mentioned that one has to be concerned about the welfare of other people, welfare of all the people who depend on you. And that concern is different. It requires an action that has to be done. That's a part of the drama of life. Whereas depending for my happiness, if I expect some happiness from them, then that is a problem. So let's do the sloka 13. Kutastam bodhamadvaitam atmanam paribhavaya abhasoham brahmam muktva bhavam bhashyamadhantaram. So this is again giving the indication what is my true nature. Is knowledge involves understanding I am this and I am not that. In the previous, where I am not a samsari. Samsara is only for finite things. Body, mind, intellect has to go through samsara, but I am not the body, mind, intellect. So that's therefore I am not a samsari. Here kutastham. Kutastham is the one who is that which is changeless in all the changing things. So everything can change, but it's like anvil doesn't change, but on top of it everything is changing, and that is the kutastham. Kutastham bodham. Bodham is pure consciousness that I am. Advaitam, that which is non-dual. So Advaitam is not monoism. You have to be careful. Advaitam is non-duality because I see duality. Because I see duality, therefore I negate this perceptual duality as not reality. That is the Advaitam. How do I negate it? By knowledge only. So cognitively I had to negate that this is not real plurality, this is apparent plurality. The truth is one and through, in and through, everything, the existent consciousness is pervading, and that is I am. Kutastam, that which changeless, is the pervading. So kutastam bodham advaitam atmanam paribhavaye. So here, this, for the first time maybe, and maybe the last time, Ashtavakra says, you have to meditate on this. Later he will tell you that also is not true. So Atman, so until I firmly abide in this knowledge, I have to meditate. So meditate is not an action. I have to meditate, paribhava means meditate is not an action. So tomorrow onwards I am going to meditate. You can't meditate. Tomorrow onwards I am going to pay attention. It's not a paying attention is not an action. You just pay attention, period. So those words have to be understood. So meditation is I have to be in that state of understanding. Okay? Now, after telling all that, now he is using paribhava. Meditate on this, that I am kotastam bodham advaitam atmanam. I am that Purnam, I am that Ananda Swarupam. You recognize that is the meditation. So when I am transacting in the world, it's difficult for me to stand back and be a Sakshi. So at least sit in the seat of meditation and be a Sakshi, be a witnessing consciousness of the drama of life in your own body. Should I have to close the eyes? If opening eyes is bothering you, then close your eyes. Because opening eyes also, you are Sakshi, you are seeing that also. But if it is bothering, first close your eyes. Should I sit in doing meditation in the downtown area? No. If you can do it, that's even good. But sit in a common place, quiet place, in a time where nobody is disturbing you. All that is initially is required for my mind to abide in this knowledge. Afterwards, later he will tell you, even meditation itself is a problem. But before it becomes a problem, you have to do meditation. So after knowing that I have already found my chain, I don't have to run 4 miles again, right? That's what it means. So I don't know if you know the story, 4 miles of running that's what we are talking about, paribhavaya. So kutastam bodham advaitam atmanam paribhavaya. Abhasoham brahmam muktva bhavam bhashyam athantaram. So abhasoham, abhasa aham brahmam muktva. So abhasa, even that I am the reflected consciousness, also Brahman, you leave that also. So until then I am I am a conscious entity with the body, mind and intellect and all that, a conditioned consciousness. That's what Chidabhasa is. And right now I am doing meditation, all these things. Right now that is our understanding. But even that I am not even this reflected, I am pure consciousness because of which reflection is occurring. It has to be understood also. Avasoham brahmam muktva bhavam bhashyamadantaram. So bhavam, that aham bhavam, this ahankara notion, bhashyam atha antaram. So this is muktva, liberating that I am. Ahankara has to be given up and meditate on that as I am pure existent consciousness is. And I am bhakyam atha antaram bhavam. So I am inside and outside. There is no side where I am infinite. So it says inside, outside only with respect to the body. So antar bahishchata sarvam yapya narayana stitaha. So Narayana is inside and outside also, right? That's what the Narayana, this one. But I am that pure consciousness, Naranam ayanam yasya saha Narayana. The one who is the shelter for all Naras is Narayana. And Nara is that which does not get destroyed. Which does not get destroyed is pure consciousness that all, and he is the Ayanam, he is the essence of that, is pure absolute consciousness, he is Narayana. And that I am Antarbahishta, is everywhere, because there is no locality that I am. So sitting down and say I am inside and all that is only for practice until I recognize that I am inside, outside also. So I don't have to close the door, because outside also I am me. So where can I go? What can I do in order to do it? He says just be. That is clear understanding of my true nature. So with that we will stop at this 13. We didn't do much here. So let's do Purnamada. It's 8 o'clock now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Good. You can put, last time they put the wrong one, I think by mistake. It's Ashtavakra. Last time you put Panchadasi. Ashtavakra from 10 to 14 or 11 to 14. 10 to 13.